welcome everybody to our second day of Professional Development Week. It's been really good so far. I don't know if you've joined us in any of our sessions as of yet, or if you're joining us in future one, but this is obviously our T-level curriculum resources to enhance delivery. So leading on today's session is Gatsby, who working in partnership with NCFE as one of have created resources for NCFE for our technical qualifications, as well as working with other AOs to create resources for the other T-level qualification resources as well. So I'm going to hand over now to Kelly and Charlie, and they're going to continue to take the rest of today's session.
Excellent. Thank you, Tracy. It's great to be here today, and thank you for everybody for joining us at no doubt the end of a very busy term. So yeah, we really appreciate your time today. It's lovely to meet you all. My name's Charlie Moss, and my role at Gatsby is Head of Further Education Curriculum Support. So I lead our Technical Education Networks program, which is our biggest provider, kind of teacher-facing support program for T levels. And I'll pass over to my colleague Kelly to introduce you. Over to you, Kelly.
Thanks, Charlie. Afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining. My name's Kelly Bowman. I'm one of the project officers in Gatsby's technical education team, and a large area of my work is supporting on the Technical Education Networks programme, which we'll take you through today. So I do a lot of work liaising with teachers such as yourselves, providers, really the logistics, operational aspects of the programme, making sure we're capturing that insight, and that's driving into the development of our various work streams and outputs on the programme, which we'll share with you today. Thanks very much. Thanks, Charlie.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kelly. So yeah, we've got a good kind of agenda kind of plan for you today. We've got some kind of information to provide and some links, but also we've got some kind of interaction and try and keep you as engaged as we possibly can. So we'll start with a bit of kind of introduction and context about the programme and kind of T levels more generally. Then we'll move on to our Technical Education Networks programme and what that is and how colleagues can kind of engage with that if of interest. We'll do a bit of a showcase of our website, looking at the teaching materials and the wider resources around T-level. So we'll give you a little bit of a flavour of that today and send you the link so you can have a look for yourself and see what might be useful in your role and your provider. Specifically, we've got lots of new content on there recently, Kelly, haven't we? So we're excited to share that with you as well. And then we'll have a look at kind of next step and some other kind of support that's available through Gatsby if that's helpful, widely across technical education, but also around T levels as well, really. So yeah, just thinking a little bit about kind of who we are as an organisation. I know some people may have heard of kind of Gatsby before, or just thought it might be useful just to provide a little bit of context of who we are and what we do really. So we're a charitable organisation and our efforts are broadly kind of concentrated around kind of 4 key areas. We look at technical education reform, of which T levels is part of that. So that's where a lot of mine and Kelly's work is. We generally have kind of quite a STEM focus to what we do. So we've got looking at kind of STEM skills in the workforce and those kind of future workforce as well, really. So we do a lot around that, and we're going to be sharing a little bit today around essential skills in some of our kind of guides that we've produced. So hopefully that'll be interesting. We're probably best known for our kind of good careers guidance, and we've just done a refresh of the careers benchmarks in schools and colleges. So we're very happy to share some information about that if that's useful for colleagues. I know every school and college should get a copy of the updated benchmarks. If you haven't, please let us know. We'll chase them up, Kelly, won't we, as well? So that's something that's just come out, and we've just kind of released our next 10 years kind of strategy and guidance as well. So that's something else that we do. And we also do some work around science and maths in schools in particular. We do a lot with the professional bodies and organisations around that and really kind of look at different ways to facilitate that good kind of teaching around those areas in particular. So our head office is in London. You can probably tell from the accent that me and Kelly aren't from London. We work out of our Manchester office, which we opened in January of last year. So yeah, it's central Manchester. I can just about see the Arndale Centre, can't we, Kelly, in the distance? So only 5 minutes from Market Street. So that's where we're based. We have an evidence-based approach to our work. Everything we tend to do is more looking at long-term sustained impact. We very rarely do projects that last a few months. It's usually over a number of years, so we're very lucky there. We might do a pilot to test a concept, but a lot of our work is that long-term kind of impact. So we're very much here for the long term around T levels and that support as well. So hopefully that's helpful to know. And we're also very ambitious with our work. We talk to our teachers and our kind of curriculum advisors a lot about this, especially around resources. What would you like to see? Really trying to push that forward into the best resources we can possibly produce, really. So thinking about that around kind of T levels and where Gatsby kind of fits into this, you'll have probably heard of the Sainsbury's review and the Pulse 16 skills plan that set out the 15 kind of routes into kind of technical education. So David Sainsbury is our benefactor. David kind of has a philanthropic approach and funds kind of Gatsby and the work that we do, and we're very, very appreciative of that. And that Sainsbury's review, of which T levels was the first part of that reform, is where the Gatsby link to T levels kind of comes in, really. So the idea was that at 16 students would have a route, either an academic or a technical route or a technical option at 16, really. And then that's just the graphic of T levels, what the different kind of components that make up a T level. So you've got your core, which is the kind of underpinning knowledge that students would traditionally do in year one of study. And then you've got your occupational specialism, which is kind of getting down to that kind of occupational level, really. There's a lot of contextualization in the core, but that occupational specialism kind of usually comes in more in year two, and that's kind of done through a variety of different assessments in different ways. I know education and childcare, I can see a few people on the call are from that pathway. That's different to your traditional T level in health, where there's more of that kind of occupational competency element and that license to practice. So that's really important. You've also got your industry placement, minimum of 315 hours, up to 750, and then your English Maths Digital, and then other requirements set out by the T-level panels as well, really, and any other employability, enrichment, pastoral elements, things that fall into the personal development element of a study programme as well, really. So they're the main kind of constructs of a T-level, just for that kind of context for our audience. But I can recognise quite a few people on the call that are well versed in that, so we'll move swiftly on, Kelly, onto our next bit. So I'll hand over to Kelly now, who's going to talk you through our website. So over to you, Kelly.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. Yeah, so really exciting to share our Technical Education Network's website. And since we launched the website in January of this year, we've been busy working away, posting resources, updates, research links as well. So I just wanted to take you through a little walkthrough of the website. I'll show you a couple of examples of teaching resources we have and the different formats that they come in. I'll then be passing over to Karen from NCFE, and Karen will be able to talk a little bit more about her role and how she's working with us on the programme on behalf of NCFE. And then we'll also move on to Charlie, who's going to talk a little bit more around our Skills Builder teaching guides and looking at essential skills mapping into the T-level curriculum as well. So I'll just open this link. And if I can just get a quick thumbs up, Charlie, or someone on the call, if possible, just to make sure that you can now view the website, if that's all right. Well, thank you very much. So, as Charlie said in our introduction, we do have a STEM focus in everything that we do at Gatsby currently. So, the main areas that the Technical Education Network's programme focuses on are the root areas noted above. So, agriculture, construction, digital, engineering and manufacturing, and health and science currently. And the Technical Education Network's programme is our largest teacher provider facing programme within our portfolio of projects at Gatsby and the technical education team. So the main outputs and work streams are on teaching material development, research and events and conferences, really, with an early primary focus on T-level delivery as well for those teachers either in delivery or preparing to deliver T-levels across these root areas. So on there, you can see an introduction to the programme. You can see icons which represent the work streams, which I've just described, and also the root folder areas as well, where you get specific resources related to that particular route. We also have updates. As I mentioned, we work with a number of stakeholders, NCFE included, so we are keen to also showcase different updates from wider stakeholders as well and use it as a bit of a one-stop shop. So when providers are visiting the website, they can see really useful updates, key links as well from wider organisations which may be of use as well. So I'll just take you through to our health and science page so you can see how a typical route page is set out. We have our topics carousel, which showcases the teaching materials. If they are in a lesson sequence, it also details how many lessons worth of content there is for that particular topic, as well as an introduction and the qualification in which it relates to. So you can see there it runs in a typical carousel style. We have links to past events where you're able to either download recordings if they're available or slide decks. And then also there's more specific, route specific links that may be useful for that particular area as well, that may be of use. So you can see things from such as a DFE page, the Science Council, AOC Padlet, links to NCFE's page, Royal Society of Biology, etc. So just to give you an example of the type of formats for the teaching resources, when you click through onto the topic carousel, you'll be met with a teaching guide, which is really the kind of the central document and outlines how to use the resources and how we see teachers either implementing them into a wider scheme of learning or how they may use different activities and drop them into existing curriculum plans and schemes of learning. We try to do a mixture of formats, and this is really driven by teacher insight. So whether it might be lesson slide decks, videos to kind of bring that industry context to life and bring either a dry or difficult to teach area of the curriculum to life for students and really use that as a hook into a particular subtopic. There's also activity worksheets as well, so we can check and consolidate learning of students. And then there's also wider study questions on a couple of the other topic areas as well. So I just really wanted to show the diversity of resource formats that are available on the website currently as well. I'll just show you very briefly a teaching guide so you can see what the format looks like, and then I'll show a supporting slide deck as well. But within the teaching guide, they all follow the same structure. They note the importance of the topic area. If it's in the health and science domain, we do work with CLEAPS to really have that health and safety endorsement in all the materials, because that's really important. We have our contents page before taking through to the topic purpose, outlining the industry importance for that particular topic, any important industry links, misconceptions, prior learning considerations, and any accessibility considerations as well for teachers to read through before being presented with a table which links lessons to the learning outcomes, the specification coverage that that particular document or lesson relates to, and also draws on the skills and general competencies that you'll see, and I'm sure you're very familiar with in the T-level specifications, as well as any wider synoptic links as well. Following the table, you will get a breakdown per lesson, or if it's a resource per resource, and outlining how we envisage that particular lesson document to be used, the resources that are provided to support with that particular lesson, and again, anything that'll be useful to consider when you're thinking about prior learning, any misconceptions, accessibility considerations as well. And it gives teachers suggestions on timings as well, what slide decks, what particular slides to relate to, any other wider useful information that might be helpful when running through these documents and resources as well. So that's an example of our teaching guide, and that's why we've kind of situated that as the top, as we see that as a central document for teachers to use before they go on to pick which resources they'd like to show. I'll just show you a very quick example of a video just to show you a different style of format of the teaching resources, and this is a prime example of where we've spoke to teachers, brought them together, and really understood how we could add value to the current landscape of teaching resources as well. We're really keen not to duplicate. And this particular area was around organisational policies, and that students were kind of not as engaged as they could be, or it's quite a dry topic to teach. So we really wanted to use these scenario videos as a hook for students to showcase it in an industry setting and see why it is important to learn about particular policies when they're in the workplace as well. So I'll just show this very briefly. So I'm just going to pause it there and just fast forward to the end. So it kind of presents a scenario and with supporting text. And then what we've done at the end of these scenario videos is create some questions that teachers can either break off into small groups with students, or they could answer and facilitate some group discussion around why it's important. Did the person respond correctly to this particular injury or scenario? What is the policy and procedure that they'd need to follow, etc. as well. So just really getting them to think about that industry context and what the implications of that particular scenario are as well, to help enhance that learning. So there's another example. There's also another video that I'd like to share with you, and it kind of showcases a different style. So again, we are very much led by teacher insight and what that is. So whether it's a scenario video, whether it's more an industry talking heads video or a walkthrough. So I just wanted to share with you in a different context, a construction video that we're really pleased to share. And this involved working with the University of Salford at the energy houses, where they have fully built homes where they can test, manipulate different weather conditions as well, and test the modern methods of construction as well, which is a topic area on the construction T level. So I'll show 30 seconds of this before showing some new resources that we've got available in the new year that are currently in development as well.
My name is Professor Will Swan and I'm the Director of Energy House Labs. So I'm responsible for everything to do with energy and buildings at the University of Salford, including Energy House 1, Energy House 2, and what we do is test whole buildings under controlled conditions. And what that allows us to do is to bring the weather to the building. So we can change the temperature, rain, wind, snow, and that helps us do repeatable experiment. And that's unique in the world. There's nowhere else quite like it.
So you can see there how that's quite a different style to the one that we just previously presented, in the sense that it's a more a talk and answer, but you're also hearing from an industry expert, got that authenticity, that industry edge and context coming through in the video. The supporting footage which showcases the energy houses, as well as some stock footage and imagery as well to support and really bring that element to life for students. The final asset that I just wanted to share with you is a slide deck. So this is for the social care topic that's currently in development for our health T-level resources. So all the slide decks on the Technical Education Network's website do follow that same structure. So you'll recognise on slide 2 here, where we've talked and pulled through the skills, general competences, the learning outcomes as well, everything that you'll have seen detailed in the teaching guide as well. So there will be a teaching guide to support this particular lesson slide deck as well, outlining how this is intended to be used as well to talk through with learners. So you can see here it starts off by talking about social care in respect of the multidisciplinary team, some examples of health issues, key terminology, what that looks like in an integrated care setting, and then a bit of feedback that we received, which again led to the development of this particular resource, was the need for case studies and really bringing that social care aspect to life. What does that look like in practice? Who is involved? Who are the people on a day-to-day basis that you may deal with as well? So we also worked with the authoring team to develop case studies. So there's a range of diverse different case studies here. We have Jacinda, who lives on her own, has a mild learning disability, aged 57. We've also got Jagesh, who's 27, homeless, and unfortunately suffering from addiction. Got Diana, an older 83-year-old lady and experiencing cognitive decline. So we've really tried to bring in that diverse element of different scenarios that students may deal with either on placement or in the wider world of work as well, post T-level as well, as try and represent those different diverse cases. So again, teachers can go away, use these in the full slide deck, or they may just choose to pick out those individual case studies as well as a bit of a wider activity to consolidate learning after a particular lesson as well. So just wanted to share that's something that we've got currently in the mix as well. And it's worth noting that with these teaching materials, it's not just us working on them. We have got a massive team behind us, including a publishing team, and we've worked out there's approximately 20 to 30 different stakeholders who are involved in that teaching material development, and one of which is NCFE, which I know Tracy mentioned we're in collaboration with for a number of various areas. And this is one of them. So we're really keen to just have the highest quality resources available to teachers. And we're really lucky to have Karen join us on the call from NCFE, who's involved in our quality assurance process of the materials and is just going to talk a little bit about her role and how she's involved. So thanks very much, Karen, for joining. I'll pass over to you at this stage.
Thanks very much, Kelly. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm Karen Barker. I'm the health subject specialist with NCFE. So I've been, as a health subject specialist with NCFE, I've been supporting Gatsby with their quality assurance of some of the resources that you've just seen, which have been developed for the health T level. So this has included reviewing the development of resources at the different stages of development and providing feedback to Gatsby in relation to things like the structure and content. So that's looking at checking whether the structure of the teaching materials is clear, the content is correct and up to date, the guidance for teachers is pitched at the right level. So for that teacher guidance document, which you've just seen, and that activities are pitched at the right level. So there's enough challenge there for students on a T level, and also that there is a suitable range of activities, and that the content is also accessible for all students. Also looking at specification coverage as well, so making sure that anything that has been developed and what Gatsby have stated is covered within the T-level qualification. So them specification statements are being covered in the correct depth and breadth, and also things like the general competencies and the core skills are accurately covered and identified correctly. And finally, the assessment tasks as well. So looking at any assessment tasks that have been embedded within the resources also. So Gatsby and NCFE have been working in partnership to ensure that the curriculum resources that are being produced will enhance learners' knowledge and skills within the different topics covered and support delivery for centres as well. I'll pass back to you, Kelly. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Karen. That's great. Yeah, no, we're really keen to just make sure that we have all the different stakeholders involved in the materials, from AOs such as NCFE. We have industry experts, subject specialists. We have authors paired with curriculum reviewers who are quite often T-level teachers in delivery to really support and give kind of insight about how certain concept or ideas would land in the classroom as well. So we just want them to be the highest quality possible. So we're always keen to gather that teacher insight as well. And that moves me on quite nicely to our next slide, where we want to get you involved. As Charlie said, we want to make these sessions as interactive as possible. So to do that, we've put together a couple of Slidos today. So I'm not sure if you are or aren't familiar with Slido, but it's an interactive tool which allows you to engage with our slides. You can either join the Slido by, I can already see someone type, so that's great. I can see that someone's very well versed. You can either join the Slido by scanning the QR code on your smartphone, or if you are on a laptop or a computer device, you can go to slido.com. You'll be met with a blue box which says enter joining code, and then you'll just need to enter the 7 digits on the left hand side, which are 3500050, and you should hopefully be met with this current question that we've got on screen. So are there any topics or areas of the curriculum you'd like to see more resources created for your particular T level? So I'd like to open the Slido on that. I'm really keen to hear any teacher thoughts on this. Please provide as much detail as you can. If for whatever reason you are struggling to get on the Slido, please utilise the chat function as well. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you. So we'll just give you a couple of minutes as things start to pop up, and hopefully, as if by magic, there should be a couple of responses coming through shortly.
Yeah, no, Tracy's put a good point in the chat there, Kelly, about there's quite a few kind of early years practitioners on the call. So if it is, if you could put the route and what it is, that would be good. So like early years resources around working with a specific age group, or yeah, we've got a few already on there. That would be good. Yeah,
Well.
the more specific, the better, really. Yeah. A couple of people have put in the chat, Kelly, about early years and teaching assistant, and it's something we've heard quite a lot, isn't it, in our insight that they would really value resources in that. So,
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely.
this is all added into our evidence base and our
It sure
strategic
is.
discussion that we're actually having tomorrow. So, thank you. This is very timely. Thank you very much for this.
That's really good to know and really good insight. Thanks, Charlie, because I can't see the chat function at the minute as well, so that's really helpful. Of those colleagues who are on the call who are joining from an early years and education perspective, if you are able to kind of pull out any specific topics as well within the specification that you particularly would find more resource useful for, please do detail that as well. I can see someone's put in for the digital occupational specialism. Please would you be able to provide an example of which occupational specialism that is as well, and whether it sits with the digital business services, the digital support services route as well? That'll be really helpful just to allow us to hone in on particular insights as well. Thank you.
I'm just thinking, Kelly, in early years, there's lots around kind of policies and procedures, and we could do some scenario based. So the bits that Kelly showcases, a particular bit she would like to see, is it a scenario based around a specific early years topic area? Is it an industry video, from different practitioners within early years? What is it you would like to see that Kelly showed specifically, and any specifics will be really helpful. Is it something to support with the occupational specialisms, around the license to practice? Anything you can provide will be great. Someone's put digital infrastructure. That's really helpful.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. What you may find as well, I didn't get a chance to go onto the website, but if you get a chance in your spare time, we have created some resources in partnership with Raspberry Pi, and that was particularly looking at the digital production design and development occupational specialism, looking at developing a project brief and presenting tasks to students. So whilst it's the other T-level pathway, if you wanted to have a look on there as well in terms of the occupational specialism resources we've got available, and see if that's the kind of thing that would be useful, then please do let us know as well.
Yeah, we've got a really good comment there, Kelly, from Charlotte, looking at kind of safeguarding policies, legislation,
Fantastic.
reflective practice, send more around the second year and the pathways to assisted teaching. So yeah, that's fantastic detail. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah, I've got loads coming through. That's really helpful. Yeah, more sort of safeguarding on the Slido as well, industry insight and those real practice examples coming through to kind of contextualize the learning as well. Great.
Yeah, some good stuff there about industry insights, real examples, practical examples, practice examples. This is all really good stuff. Thank you.
I'll just give it 30 more seconds as I can see someone else is typing, and then going to move on to the next Slido. And just kind of a heads up on that question. That's more looking at the formats of resources, but I can start to see that we're kind of answering that in this question, so I won't stay too long on the second Slido. Or if you do want to add it to this answer, then please do, in terms of the actual formats of resources. So when I was showcasing the website, you'll have seen the different examples in terms of slide decks, activity worksheets, those videos coming through, study questions as well. We really want teachers to be ambitious with this. We really want to be able to add value to what's not already out there as well. Insight into intervention, secondary schools and college practice. That sounds good. Case studies coming through there. Yeah. preparing and supporting, assisting, teaching, observations. Brilliant, that's great. Right, I'll move on to the next slide, as I could see everyone had finished typing. If there's any additional thoughts, appreciate you probably answered it in the first question, and I think there'll probably be things coming through on the chat as well. But if there's any more specific types of formats for resources you'd like to see more of, just going back to that earlier point around safeguarding policies as well, would a scenario video like what was presented for the health resources be something that's quite useful, or would a different style format be helpful for safeguarding and wider policies in education and early years?
Yeah, we're thinking things like podcasts, would that be useful? And resources that you can use both in traditional classroom kind of teaching and learning space teaching, but also things that students can interact with outside of the classroom, maybe that they watch on the bus, on the way home, or they might use it in flipped learning. So as creative as you can around the use of resources and the format is a film, useful. So yeah, anything along those would be really helpful. Thank you. Sorry, Kelly, keep jumping in.
No, it's great. Thanks, Charlie. And you're double teaming as you can see the chat as well, which is really helpful. TikToks, that's an interesting one, and it's one that we've had come up as well, especially like this kind of digital age as well, where I know students will be well versed on TikTok, so that's really helpful. Like quite short snippets of information, kind of to the point as well, but really help hone in on key concepts. Not sure if this is an option, but no, that's it. Thank you for putting that in. It's an exact example of, being ambitious as well. VR is something we've considered, and again, not a chance to show you today because I'm mindful of time, but something that we're developing for our engineering and manufacturing route is around interactives as well. So that was a bit of feedback that we received from our engineering and manufacturing specialist teacher groups in terms of that gamification of learning as well, and really bringing concepts to life. So VR definitely isn't out of the question. And around that interactive element, that's really helpful. Videos and scenarios on challenging behaviours. Yep, element 4. Safeguarding again, maybe scenarios which look at, yeah. No, that's really helpful with the scenarios to really bring in those holistic links, combine a number of skills, and appreciate that's how the many teachers kind of deliver the T-level curriculum now as well, and not kind of, topic by topic, but really bringing in those synoptic links across the curriculum and delivering it holistically. So that absolutely makes sense. Thank you.
Could I just start? We had a really interesting one there around kind of conflict in practice.
Yeah.
Could I don't know who put that one on, but that's really interesting. Could anybody kind of give us a little bit more detail about that, either verbally or on the chat if possible? That's an interesting one. Some of the ways, as you'll know, as well as we do, students can learn through getting content, but also applying that learning or put it into a scenario, put it into a context, or pick out what's not quite right here, as opposed to just telling them what is right. So yeah, any more information on that would be really helpful. Thank you. Someone's put VR, Kelly, absolutely an option.
Yeah.
We're doing some interactives at the minute in engineering and manufacturing, and we have had some interesting conversations with some VR companies as well. So yeah, no, that's more than fine. Yeah, it builds into that ambition thing that we talked about earlier. We're very lucky that we've got some good resource behind the resources that we create. Sorry, Sarah's come in, Kelly, on the conflict one.
All right,
Looking to
great.
expose learners to conflict they may face, either with
Okay.
fellow practitioners, parents, and then looking at supporting with that's brilliant. Yeah, so kind of creating that environment so that it's really good. Yeah, no problem, Sarah. She got poorly chat. Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you so much for your engagement. That's really helpful. But yeah, that's safe space for students to learn, Kelly, I think,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
creating resources that support that learning. That's brilliant. Thanks, Sarah.
It's got VR coming in again, or a host of guest speaker videos on something they are an expert in, for example. Yeah, excellent. So a bit similar to that Will Swan video that you saw earlier in our construction example, where he's the director of the energy houses as well, and was, as you could see, very easily able to articulate around modern methods of construction and the work that's carried out at the energy houses. So something maybe similar to that as well. Could work nicely. Great. No, thank you for the detail, everyone. That's excellent. I'm mindful of time and what we've got to get through, so I'm going to move on to the next slide, before passing over to Charlie. So now we're going to look at skills. We're really interested in how you currently embed skills into your technical education curriculum, whether when you're delivering your T levels as well, as this is something that we've been working closely on, and you'll see why shortly when Charlie shares a little bit more around the work that we've been doing with Skills Builder as well, and bringing essential skills into T level curriculum delivery as well. So we'll just leave that on there for a couple of minutes. Probably got another minute and a half, and I'll pass over to Charlie to showcase one of the guides.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Yeah, the reason we're doing it this way around is we just know there's so much expertise in the room, and we want to kind of get what you got and feed that into the discussion first. So this is kind of like a little initial diagnostic just to see what you know already and how you do it, and also see how we feed that forward as well. But I'm sure we'll get some brilliant responses here, Kelly, again.
Absolutely. Brilliant there. Group project placement and observations whilst there. Presentations, delivering lessons, all like that. Delivering lessons, so you're putting the onus on the student there really to develop those presenting communication skills. Students being involved in primary engagement days and open evenings. Yeah, and giving them that kind of sense of autonomy and confidence as well. Case studies, active participation in debates, role play. Yeah, with the role play as well, that's interesting as well, because one way that we could see the scenarios or the scenario resources that we've presented being used is potentially in that role play way as well, to get students really involved and put themselves in the shoes of people that they may encounter. Some more on observations, presentation skills, yeah. Students creating videos and game shows, I like that, bringing that gamification element into the curriculum.
Oh, I like that idea of the game shows, Kelly.
Yeah.
We've not had that one before. That sounds really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, peer observation. That's such an important one. That's great. Thank you.
Creating cahoots, so I get leading into that kind of quiz and games. Year 2 students delivering to Year 1, I really like that one as well. And I suppose it's kind of that peer-to-peer learning, but they're drawing on their experience from Year 1, whilst Year 1 have the opportunity to learn from Year 2 students. That's excellent. Thank you. Right, I'm mindful of time and I can't see anyone else typing on the Slido. So without further ado, I'll stop sharing my screen. And I'll pass over to Charlie, who will link in the skills work that we've been doing as well with Skills Builder.
Yeah, just before I move on, just thank you so much for the really high engagement. It's fantastic to get these responses and for you to be fully engaged with this. So thank you. First of all, before we move on, Kelly, I just want to make note that's some brilliant responses, and keep putting them in the chat if you've got any as we're talking. We want to capture all this gold dust and take that forward into our planning. So yeah, I'm going to just run through our kind of skills builder guides just to give you a little bit of a flavour of what they are and how they could potentially be used with kind of students as well, really. So I'll just kind of share my screen so you can kind of see, and if Kelly, you could give me a thumbs up if that's okay, just so that you can see that. Can you see?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So this is an example. We've got a real kind of variety of the different guides, or they cross kind of a multitude of different kind of curriculum areas. They're all available in our update section. So as Kelly went through before, if you click onto updates, it'll be the top update. This is how you access them. So if you click onto that, you'll come through to the guides, and you've got the different guides for the different kind of pathways that are on there. So if you click onto health, it'll bring up the health guide, which I'll kind of run through for you to give you a bit of a flavour. So all the guides start with a bit of an overview of what essential skills are. And when you're thinking about kind of skills, we kind of break them down into kind of essential skills and technical skills are the two that differentiators that we look at when we're looking at skills. And when we're looking at essential skills, they're the highly transferable skills that you need to do almost any job. So a lot of these essential skills are what are assessed through the employer set project when you're getting students to communicate or work in teams and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of research around essential skills and the impact that they have, not just on kind of development and learning and transferability of skill, but also on earning potential and the impact that they can have in future careers as well. So if research is of interest around, there's a huge amount on this first link on the Skills Builder website around the purpose and rationale behind essential skills and that evidence base about why they add value potentially. So Skills Builder have this universal framework, so they have their 8 essential skills, and basically what they've got is a step guide about how you can move up through kind of competency levels really with relating to skills. So how you go from absolute beginner and novice to kind of mastery of those skills really. So each guide then goes into the specifics. So we've mapped the essential skills framework into the core skills, more commonly known in the T level. So for example, in health, the person-centered skills, they've been mapped into kind of speaking and learning essential skills and so on and so forth through the different kind of core skills really. And it tells you a little bit about the context of the guides here at the top as well, really. So when you go down into the first core skills, it gives you a little bit of a rationale about this core skill. So why is it important to deliver person-centered care? I think if you work in health, it's very self-explanatory, but it gives you some outcomes around patient outcomes, professional growth, and meeting industry standards. So these are the kind of things you might include in your curriculum intent or your curriculum plan documentation about why it's important to do this as well, really. So this is hopefully helpful. And then it breaks it down into each core skill. So you've got the core skill, you've got the 2 essential skills that were mapped above, and then what it's got is some tangible examples and activities that can be done with students to develop these essential skills. So for example, if you may have students will start at different points, so I should have mentioned that earlier, but if you're looking at developing and building skills through this framework and moving up to level 6, which is where you'd want to try and get to on completion of a T level. Here are some examples about how you can do that. So for example, in the speaking skills, you might create a presentation explaining the options on a care plan, for example. So it's all been contextualized through a route lens, and it's got some examples on there about how you can do that. So you might create the presentation, students might focus on the order about how they present information, and then how they can advance that skill is looking at tailored language for the audience. So looking at how the language might change depending on the audience. So it could be a service user, it could be a manager, it could be a senior leader, it could be a parent, it could be different ways. And then they could participate in role plays about practicing language to technical and non-technical audiences. And then what they can then do to develop that skill further is looking at using it different emotions, meanings, expressions, tone, and really kind of bring forward that kind of speaking skill to that higher order or that higher level of the taxonomy of skill, really. So it works its way through in each way. We've tried to present it in a visually aesthetic way as much as we can. There's a lot of information on there. We tried to cut it down, didn't we, Kelly, as much as we possibly could. There was a lot more when we first started, but we're trying to make it as digestible as we can for busy individuals as well. So it works its way through again, kind of communication, and then it works its way through from level 1 and 2, step 1 and 2 up to 7 and 8, based on meeting the requirements around communication in health, and it works its way all the way through really. So it goes through all the core skills for each, and then at the end there's a little link back to Skills Builder if you wanted any more information, and then also back to the Technical Education Network, so 10 program, if you want any more resources around kind of teach more generally really. So yeah, that's a whistle-stop tour of the guides. We've got all the different guides that are available, and the ways that we thought about that could be used in curriculum planning documentation, thinking about how you might embed skills into lessons. With students, you might look at SMART targets and setting them as part of that personal development element of the study program. But I'll pause there, Kelly, and would be really interested in any other ways. We've talked about how they might be used in setting objectives for industry placements on T levels as well. But if there's any other ways you think that might be useful to how they can embed skills into other areas of the curriculum around T levels or the wider study program, we'd love to hear them as well, really. Yeah, Tracy put a great one in there as well, building skills sections into guides to structure interactive lessons that focus on specific, so you can plan lessons around bringing out those skills. That sounds fantastic. But yeah, if anybody's got anything else, placement, industry placements, that would be great. That would be really, really good. So any other thoughts on that? I'll pause there, Kelly, and see if anybody's got any thoughts they want to put into the chat. That'd be great. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Charlie, for that. Really useful. And yeah, we launched these guides only last week as well. And yeah, great what you've put in there, Tracy, around how they a couple of wider points that were made in the webinar as well last week, which I thought were particularly helpful around kind of wider than T-level teachers. So those who deliver either tutorials or personal development sessions with students as well, really bringing those skills outside the direct T-level content delivery and bringing it into those tutorial sessions, whether it's 1 hour a week as well, helping with those employability skills for students as well and embedding some of those activities there as well, which was really helpful. But if there's any other ideas or suggestions how you could see these being used, please do feel free to use the chat.
Yeah, we've worked colleagues hard today, Kelly. I think they're
We have.
probably tiring a little bit at this stage. So yeah, we'll move on. But if you've got any thoughts, yeah, please do put them into the chat. So I think just kind of coming to the kind of final stages of the webinar today, we just wanted to share that we've also got some resources around destinations. So we have both kind of video and written case studies across a variety of different kind of routes. These span broader than the 5 areas that Kelly mentioned earlier. But we've got some nice kind of assets that sit alongside these. So that'll be really, really good. So I think it might be good, Kelly, to show colleagues an example if that's okay. I don't know if we've got
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. I'll show very briefly. I'm mindful of time, but I'm also mindful that we have got a number of early education and early years colleagues on the call. So these can all be found on the updates page of the 10 website, and you can filter down to theme. So it comes up straight away when you click destination case studies. We have actually got a destination case study available for education and early years. And the way that we really see these being used by providers is either in conversations with parents, with employers, with prospective students, to really showcase the destinations or the breadth of destinations that T-level students can go on to. So as Charlie said, this spans wider than our STEM route focus as well. And here's one example where we've got Olivia, who was a education and early years T-level student who has then progressed onto a degree in primary teaching as well. There isn't a supporting video for this particular case study, but we do have some case studies which do have a supporting video where the student articulates their kind of T-level journey, links to the skills that they've harnessed on the T-level and then brought it into their work and where they are now as well. But every case study does tend to have a written version as well, which again you're more than welcome to freely download and use either unbranded or T-level branded in your communications and marketing within your own provider as well, if that's helpful, or when speaking to prospective students. So just wanted to share the link for that there. It's available just to download and it'll come up straight away in a PDF format. You'll see the types of questions that the past student has been asked in terms of around support, why they chose a T-level, the types of learning that took place, what their industry placement was like, etc. as well. So give some really good insight from students themselves who've been through that experience as well, which might be helpful for some of your wider discussions. So we just wanted to highlight that as a potential useful resource that sits outside of our programme, but colleagues within our team do work on as well.
Yeah, sounds like we might be doing some video education and childcare one soon though, Kelly, based on the insight today. That's good. Yeah.
So just moving on now, I'm just mindful of time. We're on 53, so we're doing well for time. I know we're a stickler for time and appreciate you'll all have had long, busy days and getting ready for that kind of Christmas break as well. So we don't want to keep you a minute over 5 o'clock. So yeah, you've seen a little bit of our wider work within Gatsby's technical education team, and we just wanted to share our contact email should you wish to get in touch as well if you'd like any more information about anything we've spoken about today, including information about wider opportunities to get involved. We do have a couple of paid roles. As I mentioned, we work with a number of stakeholders, particularly around our teaching resource development. So there are authoring opportunities to curriculum review in the teaching resources we are developing, industry contact links as well if there's anyone that you think we should be speaking to in any of the relevant routes as well. So we've just provided the 10@gatsby.org.uk contact email for you there if you do wish to get in touch as well. And we'll open the floor to any final questions as well. Thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate all the contributions. I'll stop sharing just so I can see the chat function. And thanks, Tracy. I can see you put the feedback form in there. That's great.
Oh, thank you so much for everybody's engagement today. We really kind of appreciate it. You've some fantastic, really fantastic insight that we can really take forward. So I think we'll close there, Kelly, if there's no further questions. And just thank you so much for all your time. We really appreciate it, and thank you for your engagement. We hope you found it useful. Thanks, everybody.
Everyone. Have a great break as well. Much deserved and restful, hopefully.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.